Here we go. It's the What It Takes Radio Company and interesting ideas today. And it's Tuesday, and we're in the impact zone, and we have a very interesting question. Do you know how to be useful? Let's talk about that. Hi, this is Stan once again. It's Tuesday, and we're back with interesting ideas. And I think Tuesdays we're going to be heading more and more into the impact zone. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, we are doing the world-class Jesus entrepreneur. And on Thursdays, we'll be doing the Jesus broadcaster. Friday, we'll be involved in a transformation. And we'll just pick up interesting ideas as we go along. Some of them will be of length. And remember, a length means 12 to 20 minutes. That's about the good time. And then we'll do some shorties, which will be 5 to 7 minutes. And occasionally we will do just exactly what we did this weekend. My friend Steve Lear asked me to do an experiment where we would try and get the new organization that he has put together. Could we actually say in a minute or so what it would be all about? Describe your business in 1 minute, like the Super Bowl people do. Now, the Super Bowl turned out to be, as I told people before, it's just a football game. And it turned out to be a really bad football game, didn't it? Yeah. And then there was a show. Well, the show didn't seem to really show up for a lot of people. I guess their intentions were good, maybe patriotism and that thing. But, people want to be inspired, not just entertained. They want to be inspired. They want to feel good. And that's a perfect place to do it. So Super Bowl 59 didn't quite make it in terms of great events. Well, that's the way things go. As I said, remember, it was just a football game. And no real damage is done. No lives were lost. No animals were hurt, as far as we know. And I guess a lot of people made a lot of money. And I guess probably an equal amount lost a lot of money. But on we go. And now this is Tuesday. And I wanted to, again, bring forward the fact that we are building organizations that we wish to pass on to others. And so I have talked to a number of younger men and women, and of course, that could be a lot of people at my age and stage, as I'm in the burning bush era of my life. And one of them is we have developed what we call an impact program. Just like we say, interesting ideas, it's about good ideas, because good ideas will give you what? They'll make you more interesting. Also, it'll give you a little more insight into how the world works. That'll give you a little more influence that you can establish in the world, which means you can have greater impact. Because remember, impact drives income. Impact drives income. If you want good things to come to you, you must make a difference. Something has to happen that change things for people, that they were willing to actually give you money for the impact that came to them. So interesting ideas, greater insight as to how the world works, greater influence because you know how the world works and how to make things happen, market yourself, and make a difference. And that will lead to impact. Right there, right in the middle of the target, impact. And that will help us have good income. And remember, that doesn't mean necessarily money. It can, and in many cases, it's necessary and helpful, but it means good things can come into your life. Relationships, friendships, good things, blessings. Yeah, good things. Well, what I wanted to do today on this impact is to have a little bit of fun with something that happened in my life a bit ago, and it comes right up to the man of the moment. A number of years ago, my wonderful daughter Megan, who made the decision that she wanted to become a writer, and I remember that she said, "Dad," after she graduated from the university, she said, I said, "Well, what are your plans now?" She said, "Well, I'm going to New York City." I said, "Really?" Now, we lived in Minnesota at the time. She said, "I want to be a writer. I want to work in the publishing industry. And if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere." So off she went, and she's lived most of her adult life in New York City, um, working for some big organizations, some great organizations, but she's also been very much of an entrepreneur. Um, she knows what it's like to make some good money, and she knows what it's like to have no money. But what she did a number of years ago, based on her experience, is she wrote a book. And I happen to have a copy of it here. Here it goes. Um, How to be useful. Now, it's a great book. Unfortunately, the people who marketed it, this is a boring, terrible cover. Um, they let her keep the title, How to Be Useful. But everything else, it was marketed very poorly. But it still did quite well. But even though it's many years ago now, it's still quite useful on how to be useful. And her whole point was, and this is the key, she said, what I learned was, doesn't matter how cute you are, and she was pretty cute, how clever you are, how wonderful you think you are, how snarky you are, how well dressed you are, and she found this was true, unfortunately, in New York City, the fact that she was a graduate from a school in the Midwest, and it was a state school, that there was snobbishness galore from those people who lived on the East Coast and went to the prestige schools. And even though, as she said, a lot of them, they were just very ordinary folks at that. But it was not fair because they were oftentimes given the advantage over those people who came from the Midwest or the state schools. Yeah, but she made it. She made it happen. So I just encourage you to understand what she discovered. It's how useful are you? How useful are you? That will be one of the key elements to your success. Are you useful? That key, almost ordinary word, useful. Well, as I've said to her, I talked to her, and I said, we really ought to update that book. And she said, "Dad, I've moved on with that, but if you want to work with it, maybe you can do something like that." And I said, "Well, I really want to encourage other people to do that kind of work. How to be useful. That would be a great podcast. Usefulness, Useful Inc. We're going to teach you how to be useful, because when you think about it, that really did become the key. Now, how do I know? Well, there's a gentleman who has been quite useful. His name is Elon Musk. Yeah, obviously. A guy from rather ordinary beginnings in South Africa. Now, he had exceptionally talented parents, but uh, he knows what it's like to be beat up and bullied and everything else. But most of it, most of the world knows the rest of the story. Well, the other day I heard him in an interview where he was being interviewed as to, kind of the keys to his success. And there are a lot of things you could say about what he did, and you know, is he the richest man in the world? Uh, Probably, or obviously very close. And Here's what he said. He said, well, what I did is I just started looking for ways where I could be useful or that my company could be useful. No, PayPal. That was useful. The technology wasn't that extraordinary, but the idea was incredibly useful. Uh, People are interested in space, and the government is terribly inefficient, which is true. That's what we're discovering now. Lots of wasted money. And he said, well, I could be more useful in putting up satellites and doing things like that than perhaps the government. And it goes on and on and on. So I'm just about done on this Tuesday, but I do want you to understand that that is a good question. And so perhaps you would like to be a partner in a company called How to Be Useful. And we might do a podcast on it. We might do other things. Maybe we would help people develop useful products. That would be interesting. Simple, useful products. Simple, useful ideas. Now, there is a very fine podcast called Simplicity, which is here are simple ways to do things that are helpful. How to be useful. Well, that's it for today. Here's what I do know. I do know for sure that the pace of work and communication and the pace of work and communication and productivity and the requirement to be useful is going to grow. Donald Trump works very, very fast, and he picks up the pace, and the pace of work is going to be higher, and more will be expected. No, you will not be able to work at home. You will not be able to have two jobs. You will have to be high energy. You will have to be fast moving, and you will have to discover a way to be useful to somebody. That's what it will take if we want to make it now. 2025 is the year to not only survive, it is to thrive. And one of the keys to that will be, as I've said, how to be useful, and then make sure you're understanding what does it take to make an impact. Impact drives income. What are you doing? How are you working that you actually just not only make a difference? You're different, but that difference makes an impact. I'm done for today. We'll be trying to make an appearance maybe once every day, maybe less. The wonderful thing about my work is I get to work whenever I want, which is almost all of the time. And so I would be able to help you with one of our many enterprises. So I would be happy to help you. You let me know what are the things that you need in terms of coaching, in terms of marketing, the things we do. We can help you. We can be useful to you. Reach out to me at stanhustad@gmail.com, stanhustad@gmail.com, and let's carry on the conversation. All the best and blessings to you, and bye for now.